Hi guys, Yuki here, back with Seduce Me 2, the Demon War, part 4, I believe, of the alternate routes, moving on to James. This time we're obviously still gonna be doing the same thing, going for the bad end. Yeah, and I've, so apparently this morning I woke up and then like I saw somebody had like posted like a comment and I was like, oh cool, and then I look and it says 2000th sub. I was like, what? 2000? I'm really out of the 1900 and something, what's it called, like I was permanently stuck for the last few weeks from 1992 to 1997, 1995, and I was like, alright, I'm just gonna be permanently stuck here. But no, it's now there's like over 2,000 subscribers, so thank you everyone for subscribing and tuning in to everything I've been doing, even though I'm terrible at posting things frequently, but like I said, I'm trying to do this, but you know, me and my distractions. I've obviously was supposed to post up Tuesday, but I kind of got caught up buying like 2 games. One of them was like Sims 3, and I'm kind of been stuck in that, and also this other game that's also kind of like it's basically a visual novel, but it's different type, and it's really good though. But like I don't know, it's a game that only maybe some people might like, but not based on their tastes and stuff. But nonetheless, I've been enjoying myself with that. But I decided, well, might as well get back and do this now since I haven't recorded in like a week. So, alright, that's good. This is okay. Everything's good. Anyways, we just woke up from nightmares, and now we're gonna basically push James away and make him, not like us.
Love, are you okay?
And then, yep, get away. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Shh. There's nothing to be sorry about. It was only a nightmare. I'm right here.
And yeah, all that stuff.
I'm sorry, I can't.
It's alright, let's just go back to sleep. James smiled, taking a deep breath to calm down, and nodded before gently releasing me and moving the covers to let me in. I slid my body under the covers and moved my body to lie against his. He wrapped his arms around me and closed his eyes. I wasn't wanting to do anything more than hold and sleep next to the man I loved. I was happy that he understood my decision and respected it. That was part of what made me fall in love with him in the first place. I closed my eyes and went back to sleep, knowing that James would protect me from any more nightmares. And just skip through all this. I'm second guessing about getting a degree.
Huh? Really?
Well, I just think because I'm going to be James's wife and all, I don't really need a job. Well, that's selfish, right?
Don't just make him work for the relationship. You're not a trophy wife.
A lecture was better than what I wanted to find out. I couldn't tell her. What if I was just overreacting? I would make her worry for no reason or over something that wasn't real to begin with. I decided to let my nightmare remain just that, a nightmare. Carrie lectured me, even though I knew what I wanted to do. I wasn't horrible enough to make him work with me mooching off of him. Our relationship was about love and was genuine, and I was still my own woman.
Don't forget, a relationship isn't him carrying you. You both carry each other. And I'm Carrie, so I know best.
Wow, puns. I smiled, assured at the sentiment and amused at her pun. But it may not have eased my worry about the dream, but it felt nice to think about spending my life with James, not as just a wife, but as his partner. As we ate, my heart began to feel lighter. Yeah, everything would be okay. Do, 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 do. No, I'm not saying anything. It was a stupid dream. It was nothing to be concerned about. I knew that everything would be okay in the end, regardless if I told him or not. I decided to let it go, and the quicker I did, the better. I shook my head and replied to James's question, making him nod in understanding.
Very well. However, just know that I will always love and care for you as long as I live, and even beyond that.
Even beyond that?
Far beyond that.
James wrapped his arms around me as I hugged him and pressed my body against his. He loved me. I loved him. We would love for all eternity. Well, that was sweet. And more skipping ahead. Woo! Anyways, I'm just gonna cut it here and then get back to you when we get to somewhere else. I am back. Okay then. Make sure this is properly adjusted. Alright, everything's good. Do nothing.
And why have you not sent her back?
Again, your father.
I watched as James's eyes closed further, almost hiding his whiskey brown irises in an unimpressed and unconvinced glare.
As much as I despise my father, why do I have a hard time believing that?
Ooh, fight.
Believe what you will. My lady was about to send her back before you came.
Go on.
He cast a curse on your bride-to-be, barring her from leaving this world alive.
A curse?
Yes. She can't leave this world unless she dies, or until we kill the Demon Lord.
Now that
Now,
good stuff.
I must ask that you recognize whose kindness you are testing.
Sero, we have been fighting him consistently and have successfully pinned him into a corner. Our next attack will be on the Demon Lord's castle, and it will be the final battle.
Cool beans. None of these really matter since I've done them already, but I guess we can fight too. No. Wait, dang, wrong choice. Bit back. Well, it doesn't matter anyways. That one thing's not going to change anything, hopefully.
Everything will be alright. We'll get back home soon enough.
Skip. Also, I think this time I'm going to try... Oh, wait, what just happened? I was astonished. Time was that different. I began to wonder how long I had been gone from the human world if that was the case. As if James read my mind, he smiled at me.
You were gone for about 5 hours before we found you.
I could only imagine it, remembering how Diana controlled an entire school like it was easy for her to send a small shiver down my spine. If she was that powerful, then how powerful was she now after so long? It's really weird. James chuckled a bit, breaking my thoughts.
Of course, you know what happened after that.
Yeah, James came and all that good stuff. Cuddle. I craved his warmth more than anything. I gently shifted closer to him and wrapped my arms around him, and he chuckled and pulled me into that closer and to him in reply. I felt myself slowly becoming drowsy at the feel of his embrace. I was saying before I kind of got, caught off guard. I'm going to try to actually keep Shadow as a mentor this time, because we didn't do that last time, and that fixes that up, but we're still gonna try for the bad ends. Okay.
Come, let's get some sleep. We have a lot to do tomorrow.
Yep, we went to sleep. Peace at last. Don't say anything. What was I going to say? I wasn't sure at all what was happening. Why would angels target me?
Love?
There has to be a reason.
I held my head and shook it, trying to figure it out. Did I do something wrong? What did I do to incur the wrath of angels? Diana sighed and rubbed her temple.
Well, they've been expelled from the castle for now. For how long? Who knows. However, we need to figure out why they are trying to take your memories away.
Yeah, they're upset with me. Okay. James, however, stared at me with pure concern written all over his expression.
But was Diana right? Are angels after you?
I don't know. I just had a dream that was full of light and feathers, and a look of fear ran across James's face for a moment before he shook his head and returned to his calculated but worried expression. Was Diana correct? Was it an angel attack and not just some random dream? My memories recalled when I was captured. The voices that appeared in my room before the imps came sounded so similar to the ones in my dream. Had they been angels as well? This was crazy. What was going on? First I'm cursed and then I'm hunted? This was unbelievable in every sense of the word. Nothing made sense and this entire situation was confusing. What did angels want with me? James shook his head and kissed my forehead.
Well, they're gone now. Let's get some more sleep.
I nodded, wrapping my arms around James and lying back with him. He slowly began to pet my hair, more likely waiting for me to sleep first before he did. Slowly, I closed my eyes and let the darkness of sleep take over me once again. This time, there were no rocky dreams. I simply floated in the darkness until I naturally woke up, still in James's arms. I felt myself nod before I even tried to think about the question. James smirked a bit before wrapping his arms fully around me and leaning in to whisper in my ear.
I dreamt that we were on a private island, basking in the sand beneath the sun. The wind was perfect, and you looked absolutely stunning in your swimsuit. Then you pulled me into a kiss, one that I couldn't help but melt into. You kept teasing me until I pinned you down against the sand, and I made you beg for me to kiss you.
Oi! Quit fucking him there! He got food for— Go! Little shit!
Oh, I don't want to imagine that, dude! We do have food, though. May we come in?
Owie. Sure. Everyone turned to see Sarah in the doorway alone, leaning against the archway with his arms crossed.
Oh, Sarah, where is...
My mistress had a rough night. She's still recovering from it.
Okay. He was mad before, but he lost his mind completely when his mistress formed a rebellion against him. He had killed thousands of my own— Wait, that's not me. Whoopsie. Sarah's grip on his spear tightened as something resurfaced in his thoughts, reflected in his glare.
Too many times has my lady faced off against him and almost lost her life in exchange. What makes you think that you—
I don't... Sam stood and marched towards Sarah, standing almost nose to nose with the guard and giving him a terrifying glare.
What makes you think we can't, prick?
I have seen with my own eyes what the Demon Lord can do in battle.
We had to live with that sack of shit for almost 100 years as his sons. We know more than you ever will.
Sam, that's enough.
No, it's not. We had to live with the fact that our dad burnt down villages, enslaved people, and stole hundreds of lives day after day, ending his night fucking a woman who was chained to a goddamn bed. What the fuck makes you think that we don't know anything about him?
Like I said, he has completely lost his mind. If he was a monster before, he is Satan himself now. He does more than slaughter and burn villages. He takes prisoners and paints the ground with their blood while howling into the sky. He leads legions of imp demons who do nothing but make sure their victims suffer in agony before making them beg for death. He now takes pleasure not in a bed, but in the screams of millions.
I'm good.
If anything, the reason he's as mad as he is now is because you all decided to run, so the blame for this war rests on all your shoulders.
Ooh, Sam! Instantly, Sam's fist met Sarah's jaw and forced him back towards the door. Sarah slammed into the door and gripped his hand over his mouth, rubbing it in pain.
Sam!
Sam!
Fuck you! Do not blame this fucking war on us!
Sarah wiped his lips of fresh blood that began dripping from his mouth and glared as if the punch wasn't as painful as it looked.
Arrogant mutt! The call of the human world was too tempting for you to ignore. You have forgotten about duty and responsibility.
We left because we were tired of the lives we had.
You left the world and everyone in it to become the victim of a madman and a world war. None of you understand what we have even sacrificed to stay alive.
No, we don't. And we never will.
James finally stood from the bed and placed a hand on Sam's shoulder, forcing him to step back. As Sam rejoined Carrie, who wrapped her arms around him in comfort, James looked to Sarah.
But you cannot blame us for wanting to be free.
Sarah, on the other hand, began to laugh. It was a painful laugh, but one full of anger.
You have no right to defend yourself, eldest son. Because of you specifically, my mistress's entire world was destroyed.
I stared wide-eyed at Sarah. This was their betrothal, but Sam did what was best for him. He and I didn't care about the consequences of our love, but Sarah's painful words made me shake. Sarah's eyes began to burn once again in jealousy at James and rage at his words.
Because of you, the only people she had in this world, her family, was brutally murdered in the most sadistic of ways. The imps painted the walls of the castle nursery in the king and queen's blood, while her unborn baby sister was ripped from the queen's womb and nailed to the wall like a hunting trophy.
Yeah. Azaru Juhira said that I always skip these. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Sarah. I'm constantly skipping your stuff. Well, yeah. He's gone. Bye. Or I could always train with Sarah. I don't know, actually. Why not? I like to train with Sarah. Sarah seems skilled enough to train me. He was Diana's right hand after all, and he was the one who apparently stopped the Demon Lord from getting his hands on me. I at least had to give it a shot. Sarah nodded and looked to Diana, who crossed her arms.
Very well. You've made a good choice, I assure you.
With that, Diana turned on her heel and left the room.
Finish eating. Afterwards, you should start training.
Everyone in the room nodded their information as Diana and Sarah left.
Well, it looks like we'll be busy for the next couple of days.
This'll be fun.
Man, training's gonna suck.
It'll be worth it, though.
Damien's right.
As we all finished eating, everyone left to either train or do things on their own. I left to start my own work, determined to be prepared for what was to come. The Demon Lord wasn't going to win. I wouldn't let him. I chose to train with Sarah. He seemed to be very skilled, so I trusted him to train me to the best of his ability. I didn't want to be a silent observer in this war. I would pull my weight. Sarah brought me to the Grand Hall, which he had apparently claimed as his personal training grounds, as Sergeant had to use the official grounds for the army. Personal training grounds?
When I train my lady, I bring her here. That way she is not seen by the army.
Why would her being seen by the army be an issue?
It's not a matter of it being an issue. We simply choose to train together alone.
Oh, okay. I nodded. If Diana had her reasons, then that was enough for me. Sarah nodded in return before holding his hand out to the side. I don't know, maybe she's afraid that somebody's gonna, see her at full power and be like, no man, we gotta do something, we gotta stop her. You know, like certain rebel leaders that will remain unnamed.
Now, do you have a preferred weapon of choice? Choose wisely. You need to focus and master one weapon if you wish to benefit from this training. I won't allow you to change your mind later.
Okay. I stared at Sarah, unsure why he would ask me that. However, I closed my eyes and thought to myself for a moment. There were a couple of weapons I could think of. I thought of a gun, but what if human guns were powerless here? After all, demons had magic on their side. If they were powerful enough, maybe even a speeding bullet could be blocked with ease. I sighed and thought of what a melee weapon I could use. Sword or a spear. Or surprise me. You know what, let's just go with the spear. Sarah closed his eyes and closed his outstretched hand into a soft fist. Black and purple mist slowly formed around his hands and wrapped around itself like a spiral in the crevice between his fingers and palm. The blade elongated and formed a black spear with a white, almost lavender blade at the tip. Sarah walked over to me and handed me the spear, letting me feel the light weight of it in my hand. It was almost feather-like, yet my hand knew what this was a weapon.
You chose a very underestimated and difficult weapon.
Well, there you go. Well, you use it, don't you?
I do, but it's taken me years of training to know how to wield it properly.
Well, you know how it is. Us protagonists are just know exactly what we have to do when the time comes, so it won't be too hard. No time like the present. Sarah laughed softly and stepped back, gripping his own gold spear and going into a stance. I followed suit.
Trust your instincts. I'll go slow so you can adjust yourself to the weapon. However, I won't remain slow for long.
I stared at Sarah, now fully setting into what I had signed up for. I was learning how to defend myself and possibly how to kill someone else. I felt a nervous shiver run up my spine before taking a breath and trying to relax my muscles. Sarah seemed to take my breath as my signal to prepare as he took a step back and readied himself with a stance.
Are you ready?
I nodded. I had asked to be trained. If I wasn't ready, then I wouldn't ever be. Oh wow, some things going on downstairs with people just screaming, playing Smash or something. Sarah crouched down, gripping his spear before lunging for me, ready to skewer me in its blade. Come on, no, it's stuck, no! No, I can't move, no! I reflexively jumped away, avoiding the tip of his blade and stepped to the side. I stared wide at how far he had thrust his spear, jamming it all the way through the space I was privily in. Oh my god, no. My thing seriously froze. I was so scared I was gonna... Was he really trying to kill me? Parry. I smirked this time and swung my spear in front of me, swiping his weapon away from my body. He was now open for an attack. Perfect. I would show him how serious I was. I felt powerful as I readied to attack him. I lunged in and prepared to pierce him with my own attack, while Sarah moved his spear across his body, blocking my attack and pushing me back. I growled at myself at not seeing the strength of his defense. As I landed, though, I saw a small smirk on Sarah's face. Was he proud of me, or was he mocking me? Either way, I used the momentum to lunge forward again, continued our sparring match. Oh, that was a close one. I could have lost him like that. We continued to train relentlessly through the day. Each break we had was a small, but I understood why. I only had a week to learn how to fight, after all. Time wasn't on our side when it came to me learning how to fight, or at least defend myself. As we finished the sparring session and slowed to take another break, I let out a sigh. I was exhausted, but I knew I had to keep going. If the incubi were going to keep training, then I had to keep up as well. Sarah let out a small sigh and stretched, wiping some sweat from the side of his brow before looking at me.
Let's take a break for now.
Yeah, good idea. I collapsed onto the floor on my rear, slouched over my crossed legs, thankful to no longer be on my feet. I thought Taekwondo was hard, but fighting with a weapon was proving itself to be even harder. I felt a little envious for people who were able to master weaponry.
I have to admit, I'm impressed. For the first time holding a weapon, you did pretty well. My lady had to train for months to try and use her weapon properly.
Oh, thanks. Well, what does Diana use? I think she uses a sword. No, wait, she uses a saber. Right? I was curious about her. I knew she had magic, but did she really need a weapon? Of course, if her energy ran out, then she would need some sort of protection. Sarah stayed wide-eyed at me for a second before smiling softly.
She uses a saber, a curved sword. While regular straight swords are good for piercing your opponent, curved blades are made for slashing and cutting your opponent down. They're a little difficult to maneuver without in-depth training.
Sarah looked down at his hand, forming a saber with a black grip and deep purple blade. It looked like a masterwork blade, despite it forming out of his magic. As Sarah stared at it, his smile brightened a bit.
A saber is much more graceful in combat than a regular sword. Anyone can wield it, but it takes a true master of the blade to use a saber properly and make a fight look like an elegant dance.
I was in awe. I could see a soft shadow of adoration in his eyes as he spoke. Did he really adore his mistress that much? You seem to really care for Diana. Sarah looked to me with a chuckle.
I don't just care for my lady.
That was obvious. The way he spoke about her spoke volumes of his affections for her. As Sarah looked to me, a flash of realization washed over his eyes. What?
You're human, so you would understand.
Understand what?
Love.
Oh yeah, sure. I stared at him, knowing the meaning of the word, but not understanding what he meant by saying it. What about love?
Well...
For a moment, Sarah looked back to the saber in his hand before shaking his head.
Never mind. It's nothing.
Oh, come on. I wanted to ask more, but a pair of footsteps echoed through the room from the door, causing me to turn around and see who it was. Oh, well, hi, Diana. Diana lightly glistened with a thin layer of sweat and, wiping her brow, stepped into the room with a smile. I could hear Sarah's breath hitch softly as Diana walked in. She did a small hair toss, most likely to get some cool air behind her neck, before looking to her guard and my trainer.
How is training going?
Going fine, my lady. How are the airs?
They're strong, but not strong enough. At least not yet. It will take more time to get them up to par with where they need to be for the war. They've been in the human world for too long, and they've lost their sense of real battle.
In haste, Diana looked to me and held up her hand towards me as if to ask for forgiveness.
No offense to you, of course.
It's alright. I understood. The human world was vastly different from the demon world, so the boys had become humanized and softened. Still, I was sure that they would train hard and become better than the demon lord.
Anyway, I was just taking a break and wanted to check in. Had to make sure you didn't kill our guest, Sarah.
I would never!
Oh. Diana's laughter filled the room as Sarah's face brightened into a hot pink tinge.
I'm merely joking. I trust you, Sarah. Besides, she can take care of herself.
Diana looked to me with a nod and a smile as if she knew that I would be okay, at least in Sarah's hands.
I'll leave you both be then. I'm sure that after we're finished trading, your husband will want to replenish his energy, and it wouldn't do if you were still training here when he finishes.
With that, Diana turned and walked out of the room. Sarah and I kept our eyes on her before I looked over to see the sudden left-struck guard. His eyes were glued to the door that Diana left from, almost unblinking. Let him stare for a little longer. There was no harm in letting him be weird for a little while. As he stared at the door, I stretched my neck. Finally, Sarah snapped out of it and looked to me, blushing and wide-eyed.
Sorry. Where were we?
Training!
Training! Right. Let's go again.
Okay. In complete reversal, Sarah's expression hardened to a serious stare at me. I nodded, knowing that the break we had was now over. Once more we trained and continued until dinner rolled around. As the soft echo of dinner-time bells reverberated through the halls of the castle, Sarah and I went our separate ways, him to his lady, and me to my bedroom. Oh, sweet. I returned to my room that night, wondering how things had come to this. My body was exhausted, but my mind was running 100 miles an hour. I had to physically be near the demon lord while he died? How specific was this curse? As I sat on the bed, I ran my hands through my hair and over my face, attempting to ease the nerves beneath my skin. Despite not working as well as I'd hoped, I found my mind organizing my thoughts constructively. I was training for a reason, after all. I was working to make sure I survived this war, and I was able to go home with James, a man I loved. However, just thinking about him brought back memories of Sarah screaming and Diana crying. Was it really James's fault that Diana's family was killed? All James wanted was freedom. As I thought of him, James entered the room and spotted me, a tired smile growing on his face. I smiled back, matching his exhaustion.
You look worn out.
So do you. James chuckled slightly and walked over, sitting beside me. I felt myself instinctively scoot closer to his body and lay my head on his shoulder. Oh, it's raining. That simple move made my body almost sink into his. When did James ever feel this warm? James's arm wrapped around my waist and pulled me closer. As he placed a kiss on my head, I could only hum happily.
So, about sleeping tonight.
I looked up to James, wondering where the question came from. It was random, and I didn't understand what he meant until I stretched back into my thoughts. The angels. James nodded. He was right. How was I supposed to sleep when angels were after me? They could reach into my dreams and remove my memories without me being able to fight back. At least not without Sarah's or Diana's help. It wasn't fair to depend on them, especially after remembering what Sarah confessed this morning. James, however, gently turned me into his arms and faced him. I looked up at him, wondering what he was up to. I'll stay quiet. I waited for James to do whatever he needed to do. I trusted him, and he obviously wanted to do something to help me. James gently ran his thumbs over the side of my face, tracing over the edges of my eyes and cheekbones. I felt small wisps of energy dance over my nerves and closed my eyes gently, becoming lost in the sensation. Yeah.
There. That should work. A small mind barrier spell.
Skipping. Just go to sleep. As we both laid back in bed to sleep that night, James's spell was tested. Stay hidden. I slept well. It wasn't worth telling him. He was okay, so the dream obviously wasn't something dangerous to us. It was just that, a dream. James smiled a little wider before hugging me gently.
Good. I'm glad it worked.
Yeah. I felt a bit bad for not telling him everything, but it was for the best. There was no use of complaining about something that obviously did help me sleep in peace. A knock on the door, however, interrupted our moment together.
Who is it?
Diana, I have food for you both.
Okay. Oops. Well, save there anyways. Leave her alone? There was no need to ask what was going on. If she worked through the night, then she worked. It was not my place to ask why. And then she left.
If any angels come your way again, tell me.
Okay. With that foreboding warning, Diana left, leaving James and I unable to reply. What could we say to that? James had already placed a spell on me to protect me when he seemed to be just fine. We would be fine. James and I ate our foods before separating to train. Okay, let's see. I think I'm gonna end it here. I know it's a little shorter, but I'm trying to, not, overwhelm you guys with this. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!